Hi guys, welcome to another fantasy video, and today I thought I'd do a little bit of a team reveal, kind of go through how my team stands about a week out from that round 1 lockout now. The team is still a little bit up in the air. I'm probably going to make some changes before that round 1 lockout, as I think most people will. But yeah, I thought I'd just kind of talk through my team, have a look at the structure and all that. So here is how the team looks at the moment. I'm pretty happy with it at this stage. So we'll start off in defence here, and now this is an area I've taken a bit of a risk. As you can see, there's plenty of value there. I haven't really paid up for some of those top line guys. Now, the reason behind that is, as you can see on the right hand of your screen here are the kind of top defenders available in Doherty, Sinclair, Dawson, Brayshaw, and Sicily. Now, they're all absolute guns, but I think all of them are priced up to the absolute best. So if you want to pay up for them, I think you really need them to score well from the get-go, which I'm kind of hesitant to do. The only exception would probably be Doherty. That's the one I'm scared of not starting with because he's an absolute gun and can average 115 from the get-go. But yeah, I just thought there was some value available, and that's kind of the reason behind starting Dacos at D1 and Andy McGrath at D2. So it is a bit of a risk, but they offer plenty of value, and I think both of them can kind of push that top 6, top 8 sort of defenders by season's end. And yeah, I think they can do that, and that kind of leads me to think that, well, I might as well start with them considering they're so cheap, and they kind of help the rest of my team in the other lines, especially the midfield, kind of pay up for some more guns there. So Dacos and McGrath, I'm pretty keen on Dacos. He did get tagged during that preseason game, but that doesn't worry me too much. That will happen occasionally throughout the year, but the majority of the time he won't be tagged. And he's just a star player, and I'm going to back him in this season. Then Andy McGrath is kind of someone that kind of entered my team after the preseason, which is not something I usually want to do, but I was just really impressed with him. He had plenty of the ball, and I think he took 10 marks in the preseason game. Now, if he can take those marks, I think he's going to push 95, 100. I think he's just a good player, and I think I just prefer at that price tag, 715k, to kind of start him over some of those other defenders and save around 150k. So a bit of a risk, but I'm pretty keen on Andy McGrath at this stage. Then we got Elliot Yeo. He's going to be a popular pick, and yeah, pretty self-explanatory really. Underpriced, he'll be good. And then I round out the defence with kind of one mid-pricer or rookie, whatever way you want to look at it, and Charlie Constable. He's pretty popular, as is Ruben Jinby. Everyone should be starting with him. And then Lockie Cowan rounds out my defence. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a area I'm a little bit concerned about, going with those 2 rookies in defence, rounding it out with Cowan. It just seems a little bit thin, but it does help my other lines. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it in defence at this stage. Then we move on to the midfield now. I have changed my midfield heaps of times over this last week, especially since the preseason and all that. But what I've kind of done is I've kind of paid up for some of the big guns here in Rory Laird and Andy Brayshaw. Now, that was something I was originally against going into this season. I thought you got to start with the value, but just looking at all the midfielders, going through them all, wasn't many that I was absolutely confident on that they're going to go that 110 and be a top 8 midfielder. So I thought might as well just start with 2 absolute guns now. Rory Laird, he's going to be awesome this year, I think. I think he can average 120 again. He just plays for the Crows, the number 1 guy in that midfielder there. He's never going to get tagged, and he tackles, he marks, he just has it all. So I thought just lock him in. He's going to be an absolute captain option every week for me, Rory Laird. And then the same goes for Andy Brayshaw now. I think he's going to be good again. He has a very nice draw to start the year, and yeah, that's what is a little bit up in the air. Though I could go to someone cheaper, Jack McRae, someone like that, but I just think I'm really confident he's going to be a top 8 mid. So that's kind of the reason behind starting Laird and Brayshaw there. Just really safe picks to start the year. Then Josh Kelly is someone was kind of on my never again list after owning him last year, but I've broken that again. I think I'm going to start with him this year. I'm just really confident in him. I really like the Giants this year from a fantasy perspective. New coach, I think he's going to get the best out of some of their star players this year, and Josh Kelly has a really nice draw to start the year, and I think he can kind of push that top 8 midfielders if he can stay healthy. That's the big question mark, which is the risk that I'm happy to take at this stage. And then M4 is a spot that's really up in the air for mine, and I've landed on Lachie Whitfield now. Some of you might be wondering why would you start with Lachie Whitfield in as a permanent midfielder, but I just think with him, I think he's underpriced and he's going to get that defender status come round 6, which is just valuable. And as I touched on, my defence is really light on, so having Whitfield there in the midfield kind of provides me with a safety net. Come round 6, I can flick him back. That's kind of the reason behind there. And as I mentioned, GWS have a nice draw to start the year, so if he can kind of average 100 over that first 6 rounds for me, I'll probably take it. Now, as I mentioned, that spot's up in the air. I'm kind of looking at Luke Davies-Uniacke, Tom Mitchell, Noah Anderson, those sort of players in that position. So that's very up in the air for me, that spot. Then kind of the mid-price pick here at M5 in Dom Sheed. Now, I've seen a lot of people remove Dom Sheed after the preseason game on the weekend, which I was a little bit confused about. I thought he was fine. He scored about 80, took marks. He had 20-odd disposals, which is a little bit light on, but I think he's a nice draw to start the season. North Melbourne, straight up, and he's just a proven player, and I think a lot of people are looking at Warple, Callaghan, which is fair enough. They should be good, but Sheed to me is the safest pick there, and I'm happy to start with him. He was fine in the preseason for me. And then the midfield rounds out with those 3 rookies. Everyone's going to start with them. And Ashcroft, McKenzie, Phillips. I don't think you can go much too wrong there. Then on to the 2 rucks. I have Rowan Marshall and Jared Witts there at the moment. Now, I think Rowan Marshall's a safe bet for that R1. I think probably 80%, 90% of teams will start with Marshall at R1. So he's a safe pick there. And R2, that's chopped and changed all preseason long for me. And yeah, I've kind of landed with Witts. Now, he's only entered my side in the last couple of days or so. I like his draw to start the year. And last season, he was a little bit disappointing, but he was coming off a long-term injury that year. So maybe it just wasn't quite right. He took a while to settle in. So I think another preseason under his belt, maybe he can get to his best. You look at his 2019 season, if he can recapture that form, he should be really good. And yeah, there's not many rucks that we can be confident on this year. There's a lot of dual ruck setups amongst the league right now, and Witts will be solo rucks. So that spot's still up in the air for me a bit. I have looked at English, I have looked at Darcy Cameron, someone a little bit cheaper, but at the moment I've landed on Witts there. Then lastly to that forward line now, and I think this is an area that's going to be similar for a lot of people. Obviously Josh Dunkley, he's probably the biggest lock in fantasy this season, apart from like someone like Will Ashcroft or something like that. He's just going to be top 6 forward, probably the number 1 scoring forward. New club, and I think he's a great captain option week in, week out, Josh Dunkley. Then we have Taranto there. He's going to be a nice pick. He'll be a top 6 forward. The same goes for Rosie. He's at a very nice price. He's going to be playing midfield the majority of time. I was thinking, yeah, he's an absolute gun. So he's a lock for me. And then Errol Goulden, the absolute star of the preseason now. Look, I don't think he's just a one-hit sort of wonder or preseason sort of wonder, Errol Goulden. He's going to be good. And as long as he keeps those CBAs, that midfield time that he showed in those preseason games for the Swans, he'll be a top 6 forward. No doubt about it. He averaged 80 on a wing last year, so if he gets that centre bounce as a midfielder, he'll average 100, I reckon. So, look, don't just kind of look at him and say, oh, he only did it in the preseason. I can't trust him. He's a good player, and I really think everyone should trust him there. Great pick, 735k. You'd lock him in, I think. Then we got Wayne Miller there as my kind of mid-price pick now. He actually didn't play in that preseason game on the weekend, but he wasn't injured or anything like that. He was just out for personal reasons, I think it was now. Look, that position can change for me. I could actually switch that around, get a rookie there, and kind of get a Finn Callaghan in the midfield or someone like Will Day in defence. So that mid-price position is up in the air for mine. But at the moment, I'm happy with Miller. He impressed me in that first match simulation game. I liked his role. I think he can kind of push 70 if he keeps that role now. He's a bit of a risk though, but at this stage, I'm happy with him. If he's named round 1, that's probably the only query. He's probably borderline best 22. I'm not sure about it. Maybe some Crows fans can help me out there in the comments, but yeah, I'm pretty keen on him if he's named round 1. Then we rounded out with Harry Sheezel there. He looks really good. He's had a phenomenal preseason, and he's getting high possessions and kicking goals. That's just perfect for fantasy there. And then the rookies on the bench, they're all kind of placeholders at the moment. Obviously, we wait and see who's named round 1. We should get plenty of team announcements throughout next week. Clubs usually like to announce debutants before those kind of Thursday night team when the teams are named. So yeah, that's how my team looks at the moment. I'm pretty happy with it. I think, yeah, I like the structure. I like the forward line, especially rucks. The midfield, that's kind of still up in the air. I really kind of want to make sure I kind of got 4 kind of guys that I can think that kind of be top 8 midfielders there. And then in the defence, that's kind of the risky spot for me, going really chasing a lot of value there and leaving out kind of some of the big dogs. So that's the risk there. So I'm pretty happy with the team overall, though. At this stage, about a week out from round 1, I've got the 6 rookies and only a couple of mid prices. The mid prices would probably be Miller, Sheed, and Constable. You kind of classify him as mid prices. So I think it's pretty solid overall there. So yeah, that's all for today's video, guys. Good luck in the lead up to round 1. Hopefully you get your team sorted without much stress. And yeah, good luck for the fantasy season ahead. It's going to be a fun season. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.